There's something on my back. No, no, wait, that's not right. There's something behind me. Welcome to episode 537 of an Unearthly podcast, streaming live on the 26th of April, 2025, and featuring The Well, written by Russell T. Davies and Sharma Angel Walfall, and starring Shooty Gatwa the Doctor and Verada Sethu as Belinda Chandra. I am Bill Sylvia, the one in black. And don't you love it when you go to do some simple stretches and you wind up with your shoulder out of commission for the rest of the day? With me are Alex Fireheart
Hello.
and Erin Romeo Moonberg.
Hello.
How's the week going?
Busy.
Hmm.
That's it. Just busy.
Just busy. I didn't know if Alex wanted to go, so I got up this morning at 4:30 a.m. because to get the apartment cleaned up for guests because I had an anime viewing from noon until 6 p.m. So we are watching Twin Star Exorcists. As well as I think last time we met, we did Twin Star as well as Apothecary Diaries. Um, and then from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m., I had a Dungeons and Dragons group actually meet at my place. My one friend kind of had to back out, so um, everyone met here for like the first time ever for one of those campaigns. So it was actually really cool. It was nice to have a apartment full of people and that. And now I'm on to the podcast here. At least I won't have to worry about vacuuming and like doing any major deep cleaning other than maybe dusting and decluttering for a while. So that'll be pretty cool.
Hmm.
All
Other than
right,
that,
Alex.
I've been
Any?
watching
Oh,
Severance. Sorry.
Yeah, for me it's mostly just been uh work trying desperately to catch up on Critical Role, video gaming, and like there was a potential chance that I might have worked this morning, but it ended up being, now that the school holidays are over here, because we have like 2 weeks. There's 2 weeks worth of school holidays around Easter usually. I think it depends on the year whereabouts it falls. But I was getting like, I got like 5-day weeks there for a change. And then it was a matter of like figuring that now it's not that anymore, that I wouldn't necessarily be given a Sunday to work. I was like, well, I could just start like 3 hours earlier on Saturday. And they were like, yeah, sure, we'll do that. So basically worked 7 hours yesterday instead of 4. And almost got bloody eaten alive by fruit flies, it felt like.
yeah.
So that's annoying, but oh well. Yeah, other than that, I mean, I did end up having an annoying nosebleed last night, but not as bad as like the 2 I've had previous. I have to believe that one might have been brought on by like the setting. I have to have my air conditioning on now so it doesn't just leak. Draws all the humidity out of the air, so I can end up like kind of dehydrated if I let that go a bit too long. And I did end up looking it up, and I think what I found basically said that like certain level of dehydration can help, not like automatically, but can help bring on nosebleed, so it might have been a combo of heat and that. Sort of a thing. So that was annoying to deal with as I was getting ready to go to bed. Like just washing my face and then like just like at first I thought I was just a runny nose, and then oh no, that's definitely blood. So I was up for like an extra half hour dealing with just making sure that had finished. It didn't last a half hour, thank God, but it was very annoying. Because I had to be like, well, I need to make sure it's actually stopped so I don't wake up with blood on my pillow. And then yeah, like yeah, I don't know what, like all I can think of is that must have been like a combo of dehydration in the heat. But you know, it still went away quicker than those two I had that might have been set off by my meds. Of course, the annoying thing is I still the appointment that I have to get potentially cleared or given the no, you can't take any meds because they'll just do that, is tomorrow. And then my next psychiatrist appointment is 2 days later, so it's like I doubt I'm gonna have like if I'm asked to like go do something like get blood taken again, it's gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna have it in time for the for the psychiatrist appointment, so that's gonna be annoying. I'm just gonna like at most I'll just be able like, well, this is what he said, but that's about it. But yeah, it's very annoying in that case, but oh well. I mean, thankfully it's starting to get cooler here, at least in the mornings and evenings, so because we're getting like getting closer and closer to being in winter here. So yeah,
On my end, I'm kind of torn between really looking forward to mid-May coming and like being done with papers for like not done with, but past all of my current rush deadlines and being able to relax for a few days before getting back to things. But on the other hand, I have enough that I need to write that I'm like, no, I need another month between now and May 15. So, yeah, really mixed feelings about the passage of time. Otherwise, just trying to get through things. I think I already mentioned here about like when the stock market went down, the bank like cutting a huge amount off of my credit card limit, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So I've just been trying to do my best to watch my budget and make sure I'm not screwed for the summer. The summer job that I already applied for and interviewed for, I still haven't heard anything about, which is not great news. I'm assuming they're getting back to me, but I don't know if that means that they're waiting until they get all their first choices and then get to the second choices and tell them no, or if it's just taking a month to make the decision. Either that or I've lost track of time and I didn't interview for it as long ago as I thought I did, which is entirely possible as well. But either way, I'm seriously due to having $600 less than I should, having access to $600 less than I should. I've been seriously like considering my options for finding a simple job just to keep above water over the summer. I've officially reached the point where I'm don't have any particular extra savings for things like food. So just doing my best, and hopefully I'll have be a little better when I start when I budget as hard as I'm budgeting now. When I do that, starting with the fall financial aid rather than starting with the spring financial aid. And that's about the most interesting things happening to me at the moment. So, on tonight's shows, we have a wee bit of birthday, wee bit of news, some geek talk, and then we have, let's see, our schedule says Erin with the summary, and then our episode review, final thoughts, and ratings. On to Alex with the birthdays.
Yep. So, first up on the 20th of April, we have Louise Jameson, who played Leela of the Sever Team from 77 to 78, plus work for Big Finish, turned 74. On the 21st of April, we have two. So first up, we have Anthony Reid. Was he Doctor Who script editor from 78 to 79. He would have been 90, but died in 2015 at the age of 80. Also, on the 21st of April, we have Gerald Flood, who was the voice of Chameleon from 83 to 84. Would have been 98, but died in 1989 at the age of 61. And finally, on the 22nd of April, we have Michelle Ryan, who played Lady Christina D'Souza in Planet of the Dead, and her Big Finish spin-off, turned 41. So happy birthday to Louise, Anthony, Gerald, and Michelle.
Birthday, yes. Starting off our episode news, we have our overnight ratings, in which Lux received a total of 1.58 million views on UK screens and iPlayer. And then in the 7-day 4-screen ratings, The Robot Revolution has a total of 3.57 million views from BBC One and iPlayer. That makes Doctor Who the 12th most viewed program on British TV for the April 7 to 13 week, according to The Barb, with The Apprentice, the British version, not the Donald Trump version, Britain's Got Talent, and crime drama Grace taking the top 3 spots. And honestly, I'm still surprised that anything based on The Apprentice or any other Donald Trump thing is going to be that popular outside the U.S. in 2025. 3.57 million views is more than Dot and Bubble, Rogue, or The Legends of Ruby Sunday, and just a few thousand short of Boom when comparing to season 1. What were you about to say?
I was going to say I'm surprised that the UK Apprentice is still going. Like, I mean, I know the UK love their love those kinds of shows as well, but like I would have thought that would have been one that had fallen by the wayside by now. Unless it like ended and then got revived, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know. I didn't even know there was a UK version until I looked it up, because I was like, there's no way they're watching reruns of The Apprentice.
Yeah, like I know I've known about it for a while, but I think that's just because like being Australian, we would have got it on TV here. I think we likely got both.
But yeah, so that is the viewing figures, and I wish they still gave us, and maybe it's just that I don't know all of the sources that Rand used to use. Well, actually, Rand mostly got it from DoctorWhoNews.net, which doesn't cover ratings anymore.
Yeah.
But there used to be a 30-day ratings, and I really wish we still had that, because I imagine that when Legend of Ruby Sunday aired, there was a bunch of streaming of the earlier episodes of the season, and we don't really have any numbers for that. We only have 7-day figures at most.
Yeah, and I mean even then, the only numbers we'd get are BBC iPlayer, but yeah.
Yeah.
Like it'd
Um,
be interesting to know what the Disney Plus numbers were, but yeah, they're never gonna say.
no, yeah, they like every once in a while they'll be like, it's doing really well. It's doing high
Yeah,
numbers in XYZ countries, but they're never actually going to give us real information because that could
yeah.
potentially be used in some way against them
Hmm. Like whoever,
somehow.
yeah. Especially
Mo-
like the.
mo-
It wouldn't surprise me if part of it is like that they don't want the people working on whatever show is doing well to be able to have leverage to be like, can we get a little more money?
True. That, or they're going to be like, well, this had this had 4 million viewers, which is a million less than some rando on YouTube said they were going to get, which causes the stock market, the stock price to take a dive for absolutely no reason, because money is fake and the stock market is even faker.
Mm.
All right. Moving to future episode news. Uh, the official news drops are never going to occur at the right time for us to cover it. So let's look at the next time trailer starting for Lucky Day. Any thoughts on the Lucky Day next time trailer?
I'm I was almost assuming this was going to be a Dr. Light episode, but just like by the early images we got, like the early like teaser things we got in like the season trailer was very only seeing Ruby. So I was under the impression.
Something about the visuals feels a lot like 73 yards too.
So,
Like at first I thought the trailer was showing flashbacks to 73 yards and I was like, flashbacks in a what 10-second trailer, that's daring, but it was not flashbacks.
So yeah, I was almost like, okay, so maybe this will be the Dr. Light episode, because I would assume that there probably will be one, unless Shooty was available to actually do all of them, but but I guess not, because we see him and Belinda in the next time trailer. Granted, at first we see them alone talking to some rando, and then eventually meeting up with Ruby. Although I don't think in the little bits we got, which isn't really necessarily indicative of anything because it's just a teaser, but I don't think there were any shots that showed the Doctor, Ruby, and Belinda all in the same shot, which could just be we're saving this for like the actual episode for you to see them all together. But it could also be a matter of maybe for the majority of the episode they are all separate, like they're not all three in the same space.
Ruby should be in 2025, which is the time that Belinda's trying to get back to. So maybe it is most like maybe the Doctor and Belinda just barely cameo, and this is mostly set up for the season finale.
Maybe.
Yeah, we get a clip of it looks like the Doctor introducing himself to Ruby's boyfriend, and then of course Ruby's boyfriend mentions the Doctor in another clip, or like, I mean, in the trailer it's the very next scene, but I doubt that's true in the episode.
Yeah. So like, I mean, even I guess the funny thing is like, even if this is set in 2025, it could easily just be set like, oh hey, we got back to 2025. Oh crap, we didn't get to the right day.
I mean, I feel like it's not. I mean, it's not that hard to get a hotel room for a couple months.
Yeah. At the same time, depending, because I forget when. Season 1. God, I hate saying that. Was actually set, because I forget if that was technically set.
There was a time skip between episodes 1 and 2, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah, mind you, if we're supposed to view these in chronological order, the Christmas special that Moffat wrote was supposed to be Christmas 2024, so that could be any number of things, but even then it could just be that this episode is technically set in 2024 after like Ruby ducks out of the TARDIS.
So the doctor is in a hotel room waiting for Ruby to call, and meanwhile, a future version of him and Ruby are running around having adventures.
Yeah, it's either that or it's
Merry
supposed to
Christmas.
be. Yeah, it's either that or it's supposed to be 2025, but just like earlier or something.
There's got to be, if it is in 2025, for me, there's got to be a pretty compelling reason why they're like, we would rather pinball around time and space, trying to get to May rather than just waiting until May. Like,
right.
It would be bad enough if this was Matt Smith's doctor, but like this is a doctor that's already done the slow thing once before. There's no reason he wouldn't unless Belinda is just that impatient, which I guess I could see. I could see her being like, I'm not waiting 2 months to see my family or whatever.
Yeah. Or like maybe something forces them to, like maybe he tries to like, okay, let's go closer to where you are and just sit for a couple months. And then the TARDIS is like, no. And they end up going somewhere else. Which wouldn't be the first time the Doctor has tried to do a very simple jump and ended up somewhere else entirely.
Right. I'm guessing there's going to be some sort of twist with the shriek that is like, I doubt it's just as simple like, oh, there's some sort of predator on Earth that unit can easily take out. There's probably something, something that makes this a higher tier threat that may also, because it's Doctor Who, have some sort of effect on the time vortex or something.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't mention pheromones and how it hunts and stuff like that. I thought that
Right.
maybe the boyfriend is like an alien that's like trying to eat Ruby or something like that. Because
as long as he doesn't fart.
I mean, there was I forget what the line was, but there was a line in the Next Time trail that made me suspicious that the boyfriend might be an alien of some kind. Not necessarily nefarious, but just like an alien in human guise. Or just a human-looking alien.
Oh, no, she's dating a predator.
It feels like he's really trying to browbeat her into like, we're a team just like you and the Doctor is what he says. So
yeah, and it's I didn't like.
Yeah,
I thought it like of him as like him trying to give a motivational speech, like, yeah, we can do this, but there definitely are multiple ways, multiple meanings that could have in context.
Mind you, I could definitely do without I could do with more healthy relationships in Doctor Who. Like, it feels like the only real healthy one
especially with Ruby.
Yeah, like I feel like the most healthy relationship there's ever been is like Amy and Rory, and like any rocky bits that had was more like the plot required it, or like them, they've just been through some shit. But
speaking of like unhealthy relationships and such, I wonder, like, I'm not that great with facial recognition, and I doubt TARDIS would have the information yet. But part of me really hopes that this boyfriend is one of the ones that from 73 yards.
I mean, it is an alternate
and
timeline.
Also, part of me just really hopes that like that girl who like she let get abused in 73 yards like actually gets a better ending in this timeline because of something
Mm,
Ruby does.
yeah, that would be nice. I mean, to that end, it wouldn't be that surprising if Ruby was like, well, in the alternate timeline, you seemed nice, so I'll give you a shot.
Mhm.
Um, and then, like, you know, it goes however it goes from there.
All right. Our last bit of news, which I guess was covered as like an upcoming in the past, but we have one piece of Big Finish release, which is Dark Gallifrey Missy Part One, written by Roshana Patel, starring Michelle Gomez as Missy. And I don't think there's any other information about other recurring characters. Although I mean, it's Gallifrey. Oh no, wait. Dark Gallifrey is the one about Renegade Time Lords. It's not actually like a crossover with Gallifrey, so it might not be anybody that we know of. And that is the end of our news. So up next, we get Alex talking about Sinners.
Yep. I'd been interested in seeing this mainly just because of who the director was. Ryan Coogler, who did the. I'm pretty sure he directed both Black Panther movies so far. Um, among other things here and there that I haven't seen. But yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of this. This was great. Probably the first movie. Like, I can't be 100% sure because my memory is so shit, but I think this is the first movie I've ever seen where while I'm watching it, have thought to myself, I really need to get the soundtrack for this. Which that does not happen. Like, I cannot remember the last time I thought that. Like, maybe thought, wow, this soundtrack is good, but not like, you know, the backing, all the music and that going on is good. This was just like, shit, I need to get this. Is it the idea is this is set in 1932, I think it was, in Mississippi. Um, and Michael B. Jordan's characters, because he's playing twin brothers, are trying to open what they refer to as a juke joint. In kind of the middle of nowhere, sort of. And a cousin of theirs that they get to perform music. There's like there's a theme going through it that they bring up in like a little prologue thingy where there's like different cultures have legends about people people being able to make music so good that it can tear the veil between this world and the next, kind of a thing. But that can also attract bad things. And that's, you know, in this particular case, it does. It goes in a slightly different way than I would have thought. But it's one of those things where I don't know, like, it doesn't like ruin it if I say it, but it's one of those things of like, oh, I didn't call that because the trailer that I saw didn't give it away, so I thought it was supposed to be a surprise. But like I'll put it this way, you would think the monsters would be like demons or something, but they're not. And when they reveal what it is, it's like, oh, so this is that genre of horror. Okay, not what I would have expected, but that's an interesting way to go about it. But yeah, like this is is a very, very good movie. And yeah, like again, like it's almost kind of borderline a musical, kind of like not like isn't in the sense that like more of
Hmm.
like a jukebox musical in terms of the fact that like they're performing songs rather than like breaking into song to do character stuff. Um uh but that was an interesting dynamic that I don't know if I've seen a horror movie like that before. Not to say that there aren't any, but just that I've never seen a horror movie where like I've seen horror musicals, but I haven't seen a horror movie where all the only music in it that isn't just like uh soundtrack is being performed. Um
Okay.
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like it's a very very solid movie. I definitely like if you either can't afford or just can't like risk it because COVID is still a thing. Um, you know, if you can't risk seeing it in public, or just again can't because of financial reasons, I would definitely say this is worth checking out whenever, even if you just have to wait for it to like come on YouTube and like rent it for a couple of bucks or something. Um, yeah, this damn solid movie. I'm genuinely interested in seeing what Ryan Coogler does next because
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
there's all the potential that he's maybe done with Disney. Um, especially given that this was like WB and Universal that he took this to, which sounds like he's like, no, Disney, you're not getting this.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, um, yeah, I'm interested to see where a lot of these people go. But yeah, um, definitely worth checking out if people can. So from that,
Yeah, I'd seen a lot of people saying it was good, but not saying anything about what the premise was.
Mm-hmm.
And then I
mm,
saw one person like, "Don't look up anything about it, just watch it." And I'm like, "Yeah, for a movie with a religious title, I'm gonna need a little more than that before I'm
mm.
going to go look it up."
Yeah, I wanted to see it because I saw it. It was reviewed on CBS on Pluto TV, one of the CBS news stations, and they actually spoiled it of what the
Ah,
monsters are. So, unfortunately, so I will not say here, but it is a movie that I wanted to see. It looks like it's got a very interesting dichotomy going between the two brothers. You've got the one dressed in red, and the one dressed in blue, and it looks
hmm.
like they're going to be at odds against each other as well as trying to fight these monsters. It seems so.
All right. Up next, we have a Minecraft movie.
A Minecraft movie. Yes, I went and saw the Minecraft movie about 3 weeks ago. Went in with very low expectations. Did not think it was going to be any good at all, and it wound up being way better than I thought it would be. And I wasn't the only one who thought this. Like my coworkers who all saw it were just like, "Yeah, that was an awesome movie." And really, Jack Black and Jason Momoa really sell it. What's her I can't remember her name. Like the black actress, she also was very good. Oh God, looking her up right now.
I
But
didn't even realize there were multiple characters because I think Minecraft, you're just one guy in a
yeah, well,
world.
you're Steve. That's Jack Black's character is Steve.
Right. So I thought it was just Jack. Like I never saw any. Like every meme I saw was just Jack Black. So I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was just Jack Black.
Yeah, I believe it is. Is it Danielle Brooks? Yeah, Danielle Brooks. I believe that's her. So she's there's really only one black woman in the in the movie that I saw. So, but she was also very good. Actually, she was actually really good. Especially when it comes to taming the animals and stuff. Jack Black is basically Steve, a guy who's always wanted to go work in the mines. Was turned away by an old crotchety old grandpa like figure. Told him he had to, focus on better things. He was too young to work in the mines. Got a desk job. Grew tired of his desk job. Went into the mines. Found a portal into the Minecraft, the overworld, in the Minecraft universe, and just had himself a little ball. And unfortunately, he gets sucked into some interdimensional politics. Well, not interdimensional. Well, yeah, actually, interdimensional politics. With the oh my god, I forgot the Nether, with the Nether and its occupants, and winds up dragging in a group of people, a brother and sister team. The brother is kind of bullied for being kind of imaginative and building all kinds of little knickknacks and stuff, and the sisters kind of try and just hold down a job and keep a roof over their heads. And then you've got Daniel Brooks over there. She's trying to run a zoo as well as do all these other jobs to, as well keep a roof over her head. Um, and then you've also got Jason Momoa's character, who is kind of a washed up video gamer, a video game champion, basically. So they all get sucked into this world and wind up teaming up with Jack Black to fight the big bad, who is actually a boss from the Minecraft Legends video game. So, which is the Minecraft Legends. That one is kind of their Diablo like, I believe, or dungeon crawler basically type game. So
I had no idea there were Minecraft spin-offs.
Oh,
yeah, there's
yeah.
Minecraft spells. Yeah, there's like Isn't there a Minecraft Tale or Tales of Minecraft
I
where
think
it's
it's
like a
like
Telltale game?
I think there's like something called Minecraft Story Mode, but I forget if that's
Yeah,
the Telltale Games ones or not.
yeah. There's Minecraft Story Mode, and then there's also the Minecraft RPG. I can't remember what that one is called either, but I thought no, Minecraft Dungeons is the Diablo like kind of dungeon crawler thing, and then Minecraft Legend is the RPG where you actually have stats and stuff that you level up. I don't
Hmm.
know. I don't know much about any of
Hmm.
those. I've only ever played, I think, Java. I don't know if I've ever played Bedrock even. So, but
Mm.
I get you get both nowadays. So,
Yeah.
but definitely worth checking out. Much more fun than I thought. And also, Steve's Hot Lava Chicken is one of the best songs ever.
Aha.
The
Yeah,
funny thing is like the way you describe the plot, I'm like, okay, so it's Jumanji.
it is kind of like Jumanji. Yes,
Hmm. Complete with
but it does.
the
Huh?
guys, complete with Jack Black with a bushy beard. And like,
With the guy, because
yeah.
he lives in the Minecraft universe for a
Hmm.
while and stuff. I think it's assumed that he's in there for, I think, about 5 years or something.
Hmm.
Yeah, so long enough time that his storage locker goes up for sale, and Jason Momoa winds up being the guy buying it. So that all ties into the
Yeah.
plot later.
The thing that just baffles me the most about this movie is that it's not just entirely animated. Because like,
Right.
because like you would think, especially because this is for kids, so who gives a crap in terms of having live action aspects, that you would, or at least primarily for kids, that's going to be the audience they're gravitating towards. You would think that they would just fully do an animated with all the like the blocky people and all that. Even if it was literally just that people get sucked into it, and then when they get sucked into it, they become the like blocky appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have done that. I don't know why they didn't.
You know what?
But like,
I actually have an idea for why they might not have wanted to do that. Is because when you think of Minecraft visuals, you think of the 3D version of a pixelated environment. But when they're making a movie, you want to upscale the visuals. So you're either going to make it it's got to be hard, especially if there's multiple people involved in the decision to be like, okay, Do we want this to be like a CGI movie that looks like the Mario movie? Do we want it to, literally look like an upscaled version of Minecraft? I can imagine like that being a serious, contentious issue, um, coupled with the fact that like how angry fans get on the internet. You know,
Well,
so I
the,
could see them being like, well, we can't come to a decision about how to animate it. Let's just make it at least partially live action. Like I see animated
Mm.
things in the poster, so it's
well,
clearly
Yeah,
not
yeah.
all live action. But
I was like, I think
going
even like
here.
I think a work print leaked that's literally before any of the effects got added in, and I'm pretty sure the vast majority of it is them on a green screen. So
Mhm.
I mean, I
One
think that's
other
just big budget movies nowadays.
oh yeah.
Yeah, one other thing is that this is it's actually basically a tutorial for the game itself, including a lot of a lot of references to the game, like streamers and stuff. There's a streamer who had passed away who a symbol or an avatar representing him is in the game, and everyone was like, "Oh my!" Everyone in the theater was like, "Oh my god, they put it in!" And it's the pig with the crown. That's like his that was his thing. Let me look it up here. And like I said, the movie itself almost functions like a tutorial for the game. They show you how animals breed. They show you how to tame animals, how to plant crops. They show them
Mhm.
crafting like weapons and armor and tools
So
and
it's a
stuff.
commercial, makes sense.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, well,
I'm
it's
I'm a
bigger
little
than a movie.
surprised they would talk about the online community because if I understand the jokes and memes right, Minecraft streamers do not have a great reputation and one that they would want to draw attention to.
I believe this was a streamer who passed away, Technoblade. A pig wearing a crown. He passed away, I thought, from cancer when he was like really young.
Ah.
Let me see here. Yeah, there's a bunch of Easter eggs in the movie, and that's why people are getting sucked into it too. Just I think a ton of stuff that I missed. Of course, you've got the chicken jockey, which is apparently a very rare spawn in the world. Um, and there's references to like survival mode, creative mode, all kinds of other things.
So basically it
Flint and
was
steel.
it sounds less like it was a blatant cash in, and it was made by people who at least cared enough to, even if they weren't fans of the game, they at least cared enough to like do research and not just
Yeah,
go,
like
not just do
yeah.
surface level.
Yeah, and it's like gosh, yeah, there's creepers and stuff. There's like oh god, yeah, there's so much stuff. There's like the mansion, the woodland mansion, evokers, a bunch of other things. Yeah, it's just Steve's inventory alone with like all of his armor and like explosives that he has. And also God, I was going. Oh, the golems, the stone golems and stuff are also big in that too. So, including combining certain items to make them better. So, it was just a very fun movie, and it also had an important idea of that you can't just dwell in fantasy forever. You should actually get back into the real world and bring your ideas into the real world, and apply them and use them to improve people's lives.
Or I'm an
So,
academic.
yeah. Well, just like with the kid in the movie, he's bullied for being smart and creative, and
Right?
he goes back into the real world from the Minecraft world and applies it to his everyday life, along with Steve. Well, I don't want to spoil too much of it. So,
All right, that sounds like a good segue into the summary.
Mm-hmm.
oh god, I did not write down a summary at all. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, yes, it will. It'll be like those days when Rand banned you from doing the summary.
Oh wait, I can't remember. He did ban me from doing the summary, didn't he?
Yes.
I can't remember what I did wrong. Was it like that I did like a 3 second long one or something? Oh yeah, I just made
I
up a bunch of
honestly.
BS. I made up a bunch of BS. That's what I did. Well, it worked before. Let's get this train going now.
But anyway, yeah, I've got the
Mhm.
stopwatch up. So,
All right,
uh,
ready whenever you are.
yep. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, the Doctor and Belinda are stumbling around the universe as you will, trying to get back to Earth. May 24th, 2025. They cannot land on Earth, so they're having to bounce around everywhere and triangulate their coordinates properly so that they can maybe find a way back there. They wind up being transported to 500,000 years into the future, which has Belinda astonished. The doctor convinces her to go out, that they should go out and get the coordinates via the Vindicator. They transform into their gear, which seem to be kind of black, kind of cat suit type thing. Cat suit? I don't know. Black uniforms for space travel, land on a ship where they are promptly dropped down onto the desolate surface of a planet. They set up the Vindicator, take their measurements, but then are confronted by the group of people they were with on the spaceship, a team of soldiers sent to investigate the area. They wind up in a uh I'm just gonna say it's a mine because we do find out later it's a mine, but it's a facility that is filled with dead bodies, some of which are shot and some of which are crushed. In one room, they find a lone survivor, what seems to be a lone survivor, who has shot her best friend, Alyssa, who is deaf, and by communicating with her, and she's able to inform them that basically almost everyone's dead. The doctor goes with the group of soldiers that splits off to check out what happened at the main functions of the mine. Turns out it was a diamond mine for a planet that was once covered in diamonds a long time ago. It seems like the shaft to the mine has been closed off, but they shoot it open against the doctor's will, and find out later that by decoding some of the video feed that they have, that something has come out of the mine laughing, and that there might be some horrible danger here. At the same time, people who are helping Alyssa, who has injured herself, Belinda starts seeing something sitting behind or peeping out from behind Alyssa. Um, the soldiers get together. One of them winds up being crushed by walking behind Alyssa, and dies. The other group that the doctor's with arrives. There's a fight that ensues that no one's quite sure what to do, so they try to encircle Alyssa, and everyone, basically almost everybody, winds up getting killed except for Shia, who like has Alyssa turn on the basically the mutineer, the main mutinous guy. I can't remember it. Cassio, and winds up killing him by having her back turned to him. The doctor works out that a stream of mercury behind Alyssa will force this being to look at itself behind its own, or have something look behind its own back, thus forcing Alyssa free. They escape to the drop hatch. Alyssa makes it up to the ship safely along with a small group of soldiers, but the doctor, Belinda, and a couple of the Ashaya and another soldier are stuck with the creature in the ship. They find out that Belinda is the one that the creature has attached itself to invisibly. Shia shoots Belinda, but not fatally, takes off with the creature attached to her, drops herself down one of them open mine shafts, again against the doctor's will, and he's horrified when she does this. He returns back to Belinda, back on the TARDIS, to assure her that everything's okay. Her heart is fine. She's been stitched up properly. Meanwhile, on the ship, as it leaves the planet, we get a call from the Mrs. Flood or the Miss Flood type person telling us, asking about the doctor, and later we find out the one of the soldiers may have had a creature attached to her as the ship sails away. Thank you. That's it. Hmm. It's actually a very simple plot compared to some of the other ones we've gotten, I feel.
Yeah, it mostly happens in one room.
Mm-hmm.
One room that looks a lot like the cargo hold of a fire class starship.
Hmm.
All right, and review. The first in our pecking order is Erin. So, what did you like about this story?
Oh gosh, I liked a lot of stuff about this story. I think the big thing for me was the fact that they were still able to maintain most of the anonymity of the monster in this. We still, I mean, we're going to be talking about spoilers anyway, but I'll let someone else kind of spoil the big twist that we learn about. But we still don't know very much about a monster, despite it being something that we've encountered before. It's still mysterious. It's still creepy and scary. We still have to sit there and puzzle out what it's trying to do and how it's killing people. Which is, I guess, something we learn a little bit more of is its hunting techniques. So I think here, unlike Stephen Moffat with the Angels, I think uh, uh, RTD has managed to bring back one of his classic monsters, but not overexpose it and maintain
Although,
some
just like
mystery.
Moffat, he kind of completely changed the creature's nature and what it did.
Yeah. Well, it had 400,000 years to adapt and do other things too
True.
after being exposed to humans and stuff. But then there's the other problem of humans don't exist in this universe, and I don't know. But anyway, somehow it was exposed to human-like people, and for 400,000 years, it's kind of just been sitting there, kind of working out ways to get attached to another one, I guess. Um, but yeah, I really like how it was handled. I thought it was creepy. I thought it was a very well done horror, another well done horror story.
All right, Alex, what did you like about the story?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Or the change in the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Right. Hmm. So not to like you're saying not to like repeating the words, but like the whole like paranoia thing. Hmm. Right, right. Okay. I'm gonna say I like that. I feel like this is a really visually distinct episode. So you have the outdoor area where you have all of the bright blues and the uniforms. Which I mean, I there are things that I criticize about that, but ultimately, like it really stands out. Like you can't look at those scenes and be like, oh, which episode is that? It's always
Mm.
very clear. And even the internal scenes, like yes, I've been making the jokes and comparing that to Firefly, but like there's no Doctor Who episode that looks like that. You're not going to mistake
Yeah.
this for any other episode of Doctor Who.
Mm.
This is I mean, I know that like the Doctor makes references, and I forget if I'm not sure if like the overall galactic government that they're referencing exists in other episodes,
Mm.
but also this is a version without humanity, so it's still going to be a different one.
Yeah.
This is basically a new faction, a new existence. It's a planet we've been on, but it looks obviously so very clearly distinct from what we've seen before that
Mm.
you can't mistake it for you don't think that that it's the same place by looking at the sets.
Mm.
So it's just it's a very visually distinct episode,
Mm.
um, and it helps it to stand out and be memorable.
Mm. I will I will say I'm gonna have to repeat mine because I just realized that I think I muted myself while Erin was doing the summary and then forgot to unmute myself on OBS. So
Oh.
Oh,
upon
so we
so
heard you, but
yeah,
OBS didn't.
user have been coming through, but not me.
Ah,
Um, so apologies for that as a heads up.
Oh yeah, there's like a
That
long bit of
happens.
silence here on the
Um,
stream.
yeah. So I guess just because basically went into a tangent when I did that the first time, I'll basically just say that my favorite aspect was that while this is a sequel to Midnight, it's not a carbon copy. It's not, we're doing different things with Entity. We still don't figure out what it is, which Erin did basically bring up as well. Like, I do like that we still basically don't know what this is, which kind of allows for what he did because we don't know. We know how it operated then, but we also don't know what it is. So you can kind of still do whatever you want with it. Um, yeah, basically, I'm just glad that while this is technically Midnight 2, it's not, straight up, like you'd get a lot with movies where the sequel is basically just the first one again, but with slight tweaks. This is its own
and I'll
thing.
say it would have been really weird because the whole point of Midnight was like this is this entity's first encounter with language, with
Yeah.
sentient beings, with
Mm.
communication. It was understanding what words were during the episode. So
Yeah.
if it went back, if they were like, "Oh well, it forgot," and it went back to square one this time, it'd be like that. That would have been really, just yeah. I mean, it's I don't know if unsatisfying is the right word because it's not the same thing as like when a hero forgets all of their stuff and goes back to the
Yeah.
beginning. But it would have really felt like a retread.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so back into our pecking order. Erin, what did you dislike about this story?
Hmm. I felt it was a little weird how people brushed off Belinda talking about humans and Earth and stuff like that. Like, if I heard my nurse babbling about stuff like that, I'd be a little more than just a bit concerned. I'd probably be calling the cops over or like the whatever security officers over saying, I don't think this person is who she says she is. You'd have to be pretty brain dead, like a soldier. I guess there are some that just
Okay.
follow rules and just nod along and be like, okay, well, this person's a little bit crazy, but I don't want to have to deal with it, so I'm just gonna brush it off.
So you're
There,
not talking about Alice, you're talking about the soldier that was talking to Belinda.
yeah, I can't remember her name. But yeah,
So the survivor, the one who gives the
the
report at the
one
end.
survivor, so the one that presumably has the entity attached to her towards the end. Um, yeah. But like she's talking about like and the same thing with the doctor too, but it's like more so with Belinda because she's like face to face with them. She's conversational. She is kind of acting like she's also kind of in charge too, but then she doesn't know how to use a med kit, and that's another red flag. I'm like, hey, our nurse doesn't know how to use a basic med kit. Is this a good thing? Should we be concerned about this? So, yeah, I thought that people kind of, I think, I know why they didn't do it is just because they're trying to focus on the entity and whatnot, and but still, it was a little weird that no one asked any probing questions into that. I'm going to, I'm going to see if I can find who plays what here. Oh, come on.
The sort of sole survivor of the crew at the end was named, or at least in terms of the ones we see, technically a few more made it out with Alice, but the one we see at the end was named Mo.
Okay.
And yeah, of course, there was that one really trigger happy guy who, like, he was
Cassian.
quick to call him and be like, "Oh, this is clearly not who he says he is.
Mm-hmm.
This is clearly a civilian," and so forth. But
Yeah, there's Cassio who led the kind of mutiny rebellion.
mm,
Yeah, Mo Gilliban. Um, and then Hano was the one that was first thrown from behind Alyssa. That's how you first know that it's like a really nasty thing.
mhm. Well, to be fair, when they walked in and saw the corpses, is when they knew it was a really nasty thing. But
Mm-hmm. But this was
I
one of
get your
their
I
own
get your
that
point.
died. Yeah.
Right.
I think Callow was the bald dude, right?
Uh,
Or was
I
that
only
someone
watched it
else?
once, so I did not get any of their names. I'm like, there's sharpshooter, there's trigger happy guy, there's friendly lady, there's first lady who died.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, TARDIS Wiki doesn't have any. They have these people's names listed, but they don't have anybody's like
no, like Cassio was the one. Yeah, Cassio was definitely the one who was like
leading everything.
Yeah, who was ends up being uh killed by one of the others intentionally because he's fucking everything up.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
it's like, no, we have to get rid of you right now because this is fucking everyone
Because
over.
he just killed half of his crew being
Yeah.
hard headed.
Yeah.
I think I think the guy who said like shut up or you'll be labeled as a enemy or something, or a threat to life.
Threat to life.
I think
Yeah.
that the character's name was Kai Saba and played by Gaz Chowdhury. I think that's who that was. I wish they had actual photos to associate with these people, so because they had significant roles here.
But yeah, I mean, it's too like yeah, they do not up. Actually, I'm surprised you're finding anything on TARDIS because from my experience, the first few days after an episode airs, it doesn't even show up.
Yeah, like they have all the names and the actors here, but like all I'm going
Mhm.
off is by their photos, doing a vague search on DuckDuckGo, and
Mhm.
I could be mismatching their characters as it is. So,
Hmm.
And
Huh.
there's not a lot of screenshots out yet either, so there's
Yeah.
that too. Like you have to just know the actor's name.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the Kai Saba was the bald guy who seconds Cassio's basically
mhm.
like
Right.
martial law
Yeah.
thingy. And I'm
And I
learning
think the second one to die, I believe.
I think so. And like he is interestingly enough, I'm realizing just by looking that actor up, uh Alice was not the only disabled person in this episode. Gaz
Oh.
Chowdhury is a Paralympian
Huh.
Okay.
for wheelchair basketball. Like he has, by the looks of it, I think the idea is like one of his legs in the episode was prosthetic.
Okay. Because like he was standing, unless they
Hmm.
somehow put his face on another person's
Well, I
body
think that's
for
the other thing.
close-ups.
I think that's the thing. We don't see him like run around a lot, so that would allow for a prosthetic leg to be used. So that's cool. Because like originally it's
That's
like
exciting.
she's the most obvious one because she's deaf, but it's like, oh, okay, so we also have this other guy where I don't know, maybe technically you could read it into the character also being, but it doesn't come up. But yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm. Oh my gosh, can you imagine if they were all like in some way disabled, and that was like the whole theme of the episode, and that would be
I
interesting.
don't know what sort of takeaway that would lead to though.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's an episode in which most characters die. That I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Like there would be weird ways to read that if
I mean,
someone was so inclined.
we
Hmm.
also had Joy dying at the end of the
Hmm.
Christmas special, which kind of sent a mixed message there
Yeah.
too.
Yep. I mean, yeah, Joy is dead.
Hmm.
Welcome to 2025. And
I mean,
on that bombshell, Alex, what did you dislike about this episode?
um I guess there's like it's funny because there's two things, but I'm like one's more of one I'm like, would I keep that for a scene? And the other, yeah, I'll just keep the other one as a scene potentially and go with the other one I can think of. And basically, like, I get, I get that this is like a high stress situation, but Cassio being so stereotypically like blunt instrument military guy is very like, come on. You're supposed to be a lot more level
There's
headed than
always
this.
one.
Yeah.
There's
And
you're not going to have a Doctor Who episode sat on board a military mission without one.
yeah, and it's just like it's to the point that the only reason I wish he'd at least lived longer is that it almost would have been more poetic if he was the one who shot Belinda in a way where she could survive and then sacrifice
Oh,
himself
he would
because
have gone right for the heart.
yeah, because you know what I mean. Like
He would have been like
if he'd had
shot for the year.
effectively, I mean, like if he'd had character growth over the course of the story of like, oh god, I got all these people killed. Oh no, and then has that growth of like, I'll take it on and then go throw myself into the thing. Because it would have been like him trying to make up for his mistake rather than just the character who does it just being like, well, I guess a woman has to die again in this kind of story, so I'll do it.
I'm kind of the flip side of that. I do appreciate how like there was clearly a diversity of attitudes among the crew. Like there were some who were kind of like, I see your point, but I'm not necessarily going to second you. The one guy who seconded him, there were others that were like, well, I support our commander, but I'm not going to put my neck on the line to support the commander. So there's very clearly like, a wide variety of attitudes, and most of them, they're just trying to get out of here without dying.
Yeah, and even like Kai Saba is like he seconds Cassio, but he's like, but then there's a bit of like, so do you offer yourself up to figure this out? And there's a bit of hesitation there, so he's like, I mean, I'm siding with you, but I'm really not happy about this.
Yeah. So what I disliked was the constant, oh, I didn't see anything. Because like after the first scene or so, I was like, okay, I get like at the beginning, you're like, I was just paranoid. I don't know what's going on. But when you've been asked directly like 3 or 4 times and it keeps happening, or in the case of people other than Belinda, when you're aware that this has been going on to somebody else, and now it's also happening to you, like you would think there'd be a little more forthcoming with the information than like, nah, I didn't actually see anything. Like you are actively like putting everybody in danger by continuously denying what you just saw. Like, yes, I get that it's a weird thing to happen, but once you know the weird thing is happening, stop like sabotaging everybody, especially in the case of like Belinda can understand that like a god made of light came out of a film strip and turned her into a cartoon. That can be accepted. But you saw something that wasn't there a second later when you double checked. That's impossible to imagine. That must be must have never really happened. What?
Yeah, it is. It is kind of like if it had happened in like rapid succession, like it would have worked. So they could all be like, "Oh wait, okay, so we've all seen something in this very brief span of time." Then it would work a bit better because then it could just be they see it one after the other, and then it's like, well, okay, we're all seeing something, so we can't all be like losing our minds at this exact same time. So there has to be something to this. But yeah, otherwise,
for a second I thought maybe there was like a forgetting thing going on, like the silence. Be like, oh, it creates a perception filter. Once you've seen it, and then you no longer see it again, you kind of forget what you saw. But that does not seem at all to be what was happening by the end. It was just them being pigheaded.
Yeah, it felt very. Oh yeah, what's the runtime of this episode? Guess we've got to pad out this section. Which to that end, a backup that I just thought of that I would have otherwise had is those fucking like always doing that very loud jump scare noise when it happens. I'm like,
oh yeah, I also did.
Yes, I thought something was physically like I thought there was actually like it was a diegetic sound, like there was something happening that they heard. And then they're like, oh no, I thought I saw something, but I didn't see anything. I was like, bitch, that was a noise.
Yeah.
The thing is that because it moves so quickly and like a lot of the shots, they don't actually show you what's ducking behind Alyssa. So because
Yeah.
there's no visual cues, now they have to have an audio cue, and it
Mm.
can't just
But
be
the audio
something
cue
that's
is so late that I didn't end up seeing anything because of it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like it works when they effectively use that noise as like when someone gets attacked because they stood behind Alice, and it's like they effectively use that noise again as like the sting for like them getting thrown around. So like there I'm fine with it, but the first couple of times it's so loud. I'm just like, can you dial it down a bit?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's part of the whole like crews being instructed, be like, oh, people are just watching things in the background now, so you need to add extra sound so that they know to look at the screen.
I wonder what it would have been like if it was just a single light, like violin string, like ding or something like
Yeah.
that, as
Yeah.
it like ducks behind people's. So
Yeah.
Yeah, something a little less extreme.
mm-hmm. But still instrumental, so you know that it's not like a sound effect or anything coming
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
crew.
All right. Favorite scene, Erin.
My favorite scene, the reveal that this is in fact a sequel to Midnight, because I totally did not see that coming. I was just like,
So you
what?
you managed to get this far without being spoiled.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually was not spoiled on the episode at all, and I can't believe it. Like, I was not expecting this at all. So, yeah,
Yeah, I think there was a leak like a few months ago that there was a Midnight sequel happening this season.
We may
Yeah.
have discussed it, but I don't remember
Possibly.
us discussing it.
At the very least, I
Maybe an
remember.
offhand comment.
At the very least, I remember there being like potential, like there being like fan theories and such based on like info that they could find out. So it might not have been like there was like a full leak so much as just enough
I mean,
that like people were able to
at
speculate.
minimum, it would have been a mirror. At minimum, it would have been a mirror leak because there's nothing like if you were to watch, if you were to look at this episode, like anything without seeing the script, like if you were to just look at the costume, even if you were to watch the filming from a block away, you would have no clue that this had anything whatsoever to do with Midnight.
Right. I mean, like something even just read earlier was that there was speculation that there was either this or just that there was generally going to be either a sequel to Midnight or Waters of Mars or Impossible Planet: The Satan Pit, which I'm realizing in hindsight that's what I meant earlier. I don't know why I get that and the name of the beast below confused. Mind you, the entity in Impossible Planet: Satan Pit is literally just called the Beast, so that's probably why.
I actually thought it was going to be a reference to the Satan Pit as well.
Because
like,
they
I
are
was expecting
wearing
this giant demon thing.
Yeah, because they are basically wearing like very trim, slimmed down outfit versions of those kinds of.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I was going to
ones.
say this earlier. Next cons this summer, I expect anyone on the con circuit to see many of these spacesuits.
Mm.
I'm expecting to see many Steves.
I mean,
it's
yeah. I mean,
in a shirt.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there were probably more block Steves. Like, there's probably fewer block Steves now than there would be, but there'll be more just grew a beard Steves. Where are we?
That was Erin's favorite scene.
Okay, so now we're up to your favorite scene.
I guess I'm just gonna go with, because I was expecting it to happen earlier, and I am surprised it took so long. But when the doctor is just flatly like, just take me, like, just leave her alone, just take me, because it's because just the That would have been such an interesting thing if that had happened and they'd stuck with it. Like the potential of that possible choice is just so interesting to me of what could have
They
happened.
definitely, Mhm. They definitely would have had to have a permanent resolution. They could not have
Oh
had
yeah.
the thing is still alive at the end. The
Yeah,
doctor would have
yeah.
had to kill it because otherwise it would mean giving the being the TARDIS.
Yeah, like I'm like the thing I came up with in my head was one of two things. Either one, the season finale would resolve it somehow this season, or whatever happens with a follow-up season or series or whatever would, like, whenever Shudigatwa like leaves, is that like somehow part of the regeneration process just obliterates this being into nothing.
Hmm.
Just the sheer like strength of the regeneration energy just obliterates this thing so it can't latch on to anything else.
Honestly, I wish we got more regenerations that were kind of like that. Like instead of like, oh, we're at the end of a special, there's no threats around anymore. It's just the doctor by themselves. No, we're in the middle of a fucking. I mean, we kind of, that's not necessarily how the regeneration from TARDIS to Gatwa happened, but like, we're in the middle of a dangerous situation. The doctor gets fucking killed by the big bad, and that is what causes the doctor to win. Like we need that.
I wonder if this is going to tie into the Chaos Gods. I kind of hope not.
I don't think
I don't
so.
think so because this is part of the universe that the 10th Doctor is. Well, 10th and a half. No, the original 10th.
Yeah.
That the 10th Doctor existed in. So it shouldn't be a part of any like from a time space standpoint. It's basically. And this is actually where the season counting almost works well, at least for now. Maybe not in a year or two, but it really is kind of a reboot in that way. Like, obviously, like from between '89 and 2005, there was the Time War. It kind of changed the nature of the universe until we realized actually it didn't. But for a while, it changed the nature of the universe. Here, the giggle changed the nature of what the universe is as far as these gods. So anything that came before that should not have anything to do with them. But anything that came after it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's very different from like the Great Intelligence, where they're just retconning, like, oh yeah, Clara was in all of these different times. It already happened. It's like this is a very clear, like from a fourth dimensional standpoint, it's a brand new thing. Until we get the fucking God of Time, and they're gonna be like, actually, we caused you to become William Hartnell.
Oh, they bring back the what do you call it? The Cartmel master plan.
I mean, that's the joke people are making about Flux, yeah. Well, not even the Flux. I mean, the timeless child in general.
Right. Yeah, because basically, damn it, I forgot her name again. The lady that was experimenting as a doctor basically is the other now. If we assume there's still only three.
pretty much.
All right, so I would say my favorite scene is it feels kind of cheap for it to be this because like it's so very much like a textbook story writing thing. But we've had so many like things where I've criticized the basic story structure that it kind of feels like it has to be, and that is the scene when the commander, who has been disgraced, lost half of her crew, and established herself as a sharpshooter, is like, okay, I'm going to use my sharpshooting skills to save your life at the expense of my own. I'm a little bit like, I don't know if it should have worked, given the fact that we're clearly establishing that these are not the same species at all, but at least they
Mm.
acknowledge that. They don't just assume she knows human anatomy.
Yeah.
I think it should have been a little more difficult. I think it should have required the X-ray blanket, but I think it was really good. Like a lot of all of the threads for that character wound up to that moment. So I thought
Mm.
that was really well done. It was a really creative way because what we had seen before was either kill the person or let them stay possessed
Yeah.
or make a mirror behind them. So
Mm.
this is saying we're not going to kill Belinda, but we're going to make her seem dead enough that she's no longer possessed. Uh, so I thought that was really well handled.
Mm.
All right, least favorite scenes.
I actually kind of don't have one. I guess I can like kind of think up something quick.
I guess if you want time to
I
think, I can just go ahead of you.
I think I'm just gonna say that maybe the situation with Alyssa tended to drag on. Like they keep like interrogating her over and over again. It felt like it was another thing that they're running for time,
Mm.
basically. Just they kept asking her, kept probing her, and I get that it's like supposed to imitate like an actual interrogation where you're wearing people down until they just finally give up and agree
Mm.
with everything that you say or that with everything that you want them to say. But I felt like it was just kind of it was a little bit tedious to get through. So, um,
Okay.
Mm.
mm,
No, I can see that. It. You would think, with the situation being what it is, that she'd be more willing to explain. And I guess maybe the idea of a holding off is supposed to be, I don't know if they're just gonna shoot me immediately.
So I,
If they
I
find
think
out.
we're supposed to get the impression that, and I don't, maybe this could have been maybe this could have been done better with her
Mm.
I would say tone of voice, but that I mean it's realistic that a things wouldn't be communicated through tone of voice with a deaf actor the way I think she's
Mm.
fully deaf,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
um so she wouldn't communicate things through tone of voice the same way a hearing actor would, but
Mm.
I think the point is that she did not tell them because she knew if she gave them all the information right up front, they would have turned around and left her there.
Mm.
Because she was, she had this creature on her back that would
Mm.
have followed them to Earth.
well,
No.
and
And the
Shia does
smart
point
thing
out.
to do,
Mm-hmm.
hmm,
Shia does point out that she's contaminated and that they have to leave her there at
hmm,
first.
the smart thing to do would have been to leave her behind and go back home. And
Mm.
that is the one thing she does not want them to do, no matter what.
Yeah.
So I think that is why she's not very forthcoming.
Mm. Yeah, it is one of those things where it feels like arguably they stretched that out a bit long, but yeah. I mean, that also kind of plays into uh the problem we brought up earlier of the oh, what was that? Oh, I guess I didn't see anything thing being done like
Mm-hmm.
way too many times.
Yeah.
Right. And that was Alex's
That
or
was
Aaron's?
Yeah, it was
mine.
That
Aaron's,
was
yeah.
yours. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so now on to
Um
Alex's favorite scene.
Mine was the ending because I hate the implication that it's still around.
Oh yeah.
There
Like
will
that it
be a
got
third
off.
movie ending.
Yeah. Yeah. That felt like that just bugged me so much cuz like if they'd if they'd not held on her so long, it could have just been played off as Mo is, I wouldn't even really call it paranoid because it's a fairly understandable reaction given what she just went through to be like skittish.
Right.
Um, so it could have been like, oh no, I thought I saw something, and that was it. And they didn't have her like staring at Mo being like scared out of her wits seemingly. Like which very much says, oh there it somehow got out, which how? How?
Or that there's multiple of them.
Yeah,
I,
like
I
it's
definitely took that as like it's a nod to the horror genre.
oh yeah, it would be. Like, I mean, I've seen like when I discuss this with other people, it's like, yeah, that old chestnut. The whole
I think half of the
the
Friday the 13th movies ended. I mean, not Friday the 13th. Half of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies ended that way.
yeah, and like there are at least two, maybe I think, Halloween movies that end with you hearing Michael Myers' breathing.
Mm.
And it's just like people didn't like this when Moffat did it in Sleep No More, Russell. Maybe just
Sleep No More was going to have a sequel, but the episode was so hated that they did
right,
not. They never made it.
right, yeah. But this is like, I would rather if it have been left ambiguous, and if a sequel happened, it happened. But this is very much saying, at least the way I interpreted it, is there will definitely be a third one. And I'm like,
See, I took it to be like that's what like we're not going to see what happens next, but there is another horror movie happening in this timeline that the Doctor is just not going to happen to be there because.
and like
I was like, the Doctor wasn't there for everything in between. He showed up at midnight, then he showed up 400,000 years later, then he shows up another 400,000 years later, maybe, but not the next week.
And as far as I can tell, to read into that, Alice is dead.
Yeah,
she's fucked.
like
She's not getting back to her
everyone
daughter.
on board of that ship. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all fucked. Like either they're just isolating on that ship for the rest of their lives and dying, and that will just be left derelict out in space, floating forever, or like, you know, I don't know. It's one of
Alternatively, she thinks she gets away in an escape pod, gets to her home planet, and she's infected. Because I've watched the Alien movies, at least the first 6 of them, and that is exactly what would happen.
Yeah, either that or Mo's just gonna be like, "Fuck this," and like jettison herself out into space, and be like,
but see, the thing with the thing with the commander's death sort of implies that what would happen is Mo would die, and then the next member of the crew would just randomly become possessed.
Which
she's gotta kill everyone on that ship.
Which I don't know. It's just like in the logic of what the episode has told us, it doesn't track because it's like the whole point is you have to, if you kill someone, it jumps to you. So when the commander offed herself, it was free, but then like would have to have latched onto someone else, and then the only person close to it at that point was the Doctor. So how did it get onto Mo without Mo realizing?
It's almost like you have to watch that scene again just to, because there's that rush of air that comes at Shia to indicate that it's latching onto her. That's supposedly, but it is weaker when it latches onto her. It's like a smaller rush of air than when it like leaves Alyssa.
We're assuming that it's not learning and that it still has the same capabilities at the end that it did at the beginning. And Midnight taught us that it learns very fast.
Maybe it learned to split itself by generation.
Huh?
I guess that's the only way.
By generation. Oh yeah, well we're gonna buy generation too.
Yeah, like honestly, that's the only explanation that makes sense to me. Is that like part of the entity died with Shia, and the rest of it latched on to Mo while she was tending to Belinda, and just lay dormant for a while so it wouldn't get detected.
I'm predicting we're going to get an episode of Alyssa's daughter studying the entity and like, I'm going to find what, killed my mother. Like
Mhm.
they stumble upon her, like, oh yeah, I'm so and so, I'm Alyssa's mother and or a daughter, and like the doctor's like, oh shit, I thought she survived. And like sometime later, she like relates the story of how her mother died, and like, no, I've been studying this thing this whole time. And then it'll be ruined. Then we'll have more
Yeah, like
another round of the angels.
like eventually it feels like the only way it would work is that eventually someone's just gonna have to decide to be like, you know what? I'm not gonna do the self-sacrifice thing in that way. I'm just gonna lock myself away in a vault somewhere and just die in there so it can't get out. And like no one near me, just leave me on a desiccated planet, and like I'm the only one there. No one's allowed to come anywhere near it. And, you know, like you could still do stuff with that anyway, because someone could be like, oh, here's this isolated planet with nothing on it. I'll just investigate. But you can also be like,
that would be an interesting third if what happens is, the doctor just is on randomly some planet and weird things are happening, and just all of a sudden comes across like, wait a second, I recognize this lettering. What is this, like escape pod or whatever?
Botany Bay.
So I'm gonna say my least favorite scene, and I feel like this is kind of more of a general thing and less of a scene specific, but I don't have like, oh my god, a scene that I super hated. But I'm like, why did the doctor immediately like, oh, we're on midnight? It must be the same being I interacted with last time. There's no chance that, reproduction happened, death happened. Obviously, all creatures that I interact with are immortal because I'm special, and therefore this must be the same being I interacted with 400,000 years ago. There's no other possible explanation.
No.
And I'm not necessarily against it being the same thing, but the fact that it was assumed right off the bat without even thinking of alternatives, that's what's weird to me.
Yeah. That's very like, we don't have time, so we just have to believe this one thing because we don't have time to discuss potential this is a different one or something like that.
I really wish he just assumed, oh, it's another of that species, and then he went to go talk to it or look at it or whatever he did, and was like, oh shit, it's the same one. It recognizes me. Maybe maybe Alice says something from like the original Midnight episode.
Yeah,
like that code phrase that like he tried to make up on the spot.
Yeah, like in hindsight, I forget if he ever actually addresses the thing saying like, I encountered you X amount. Like I was half expecting it to try talking through Alice, but it never does, which was like, you would think it at least sort of could.
That's what partially felt weird to me, is like it didn't seem like it really had anything to do with the entity from Midnight. And that's kind of what I was like mentioning earlier. Like the thing from Midnight, what it did was it possessed a body. It possessed that body completely, by my understanding. It spoke using their mouth. It had this whole like mind reading thing going on to the point where eventually it was saying things, I think, before the person was imitating.
Yeah.
And then when it left that body, they died. And in this case, instead, what we have is it is behind you. So I'm still thinking it's something on your back reference.
Yeah.
It kills people that go behind you. It never possesses you. It never speaks through your mouth. It whispers to you and possibly the people around you in a way that we don't quite understand, but maybe that's like a paranoid schizophrenia sort of allegory. It's kind of hard to tell.
The only
I'm trying to think if there was something, and when you kill the person, it's latched onto you, then it latches onto a new person. So it's really every single thing about that entity has changed from one episode to another, which is why I'm like, I don't, it doesn't feel like, and I get like the evolution thing, but it doesn't make sense to me to treat it to assume it's the same thing.
Yeah, like I guess you could maybe argue the idea is that its power diminished so much and it hasn't been able to feed off of anyone else for so long that it had to change how it operated. Because it just didn't have the strength maybe anymore to like fully take control of people, so it just had to become more of a parasite and live off of other people, but it couldn't fully take them over yet because maybe it hadn't regained enough, like, still powerful, but it hadn't regained enough like strength to fully take over people again. But again, the episode doesn't really discuss that possibility
arguably
at all.
More powerful because it now has a physical form, can now kill multiple people.
I guess maybe that's also why it just latches on rather than possessing to that end. I guess maybe it's just been able to stew.
Yeah. Remember, it's laughing too, so it's like playing with its prey. So maybe this is just a game for it.
Possibly.
As my secondary, because it's the end of the review and why not, I was very annoyed when they came out in the uniform for the military that they had not yet met, instead of the TARDIS spacesuits that every doctor since 2005 has used before this. Or I don't remember if 14 did, but every other one definitely did. Like, that even could have been a funny scene where they've been like, "What are you doing? You need to be in our specialized suit or whatever." Or actually, no. What I was thinking of at the moment was like, oh, imagine the Doctor and Belinda complaining about the spacesuits, but it's the only one the TARDIS knows how to make. Because like this Doctor would complain about it being unfashionable in a way that the other Doctors might not have cared.
Unless the TARDIS is possessed again, and it knew instantly which suits to put them into.
All right, final thoughts.
I thought this was a very good episode, despite some of the flaws we pointed out. I might lower my rating now that we've considered those flaws. Thanks, Debbie Downers. It's okay. It's all right. It's okay to re-examine your stuff. So, but yeah, definitely give it a shot. I was just thinking earlier today that New Who, if it's one thing New Who really knows how to do, it's horror. It's really good at doing horror. So, and classic Who could do that too. But this is a great follow up to a classic episode. Like I said, I like how they maintain the mystery. I love how they ratcheted up the tension between the crew and everything. Of course, leading to the mutiny. And I enjoyed how I do enjoy like Shaya's character and her self-sacrifice too. I thought it wasn't something done in vain. I thought it was something that was generally, how a leader should behave. So, yeah. Only thing I didn't like was the ending. I agree with just about everybody about the ending being kind of stupid. So, those are my final thoughts.
All right, Alex.
Yeah, this is one where like I feel like if I had only seen this the once, my rating would have probably been higher. But getting to watch it a second time, and there were things that like did kind of annoy me a little bit the first time around, but not that much. But on the second go around, I was like, okay, yeah, I could have done without that, or the pacing here is a bit too slow for what they're trying to do and the time they've got. Again, it's one of those things where if this was like 2 half-hour episodes, you could have had episode 1 end at the reveal of this planet used to be called Midnight, like whatever, and then we start from there for the rest of it. Which also would have given us a bit more time to know some of these people, so they weren't just kind of red shirts there to die. Because like, especially with the doctor being like, no, too many people have died at one point, and I'm just like, yeah, a bunch of nameless background characters, so I don't so like we don't necessarily care as much outside of basic human empathy, whereas like, of course the doctor's gonna care, but it's also like, I barely know these people. But yeah, and like, the typical trigger happy, even though he's like at least kept at bay, he's not like actually shooting people left and right or anything. With Cassio, it was a bit annoying because it's just such a yeah, because like it's just such a cliche at this point that I'm kind of sick of. Like sometimes it works, but in stuff like this, I'm like, does this episode really need him to be trigger happy and not just paranoid or something? Or like just going, the situation, the stress of it getting to him, I would have been fine with. But it seems like he just seems to be like just trigger happy by default and just kind of has a stick up his ass. So it's like, I could have done without that. And yeah, like the fact that this ends on such a, yep, this is probably coming back at some point, even if Russell himself doesn't cover it in however, because I mean, I guess I'll put it this way. Do I think it would, like, no matter what happens with a follow-up season or series to this, depending on whether it's on Disney Plus or BBC, would I expect it to be in the next season along? No. This seems like something where if we're revisiting it, it would be closer to the end of RTD's current run.
The RTD3 era. When RTD gives up the show and then they bring him back because he's not allowed to die.
But yeah, like, I at the very least, I would expect this to not be in whatever whatever happens with like a series 16 or season 3 or whatever the fuck it ends up being. It seems like if this does get followed up at all, it'd be much later. But yeah, I guess comparing this to Midnight, which doesn't entirely seem fair, but at the same time, it's a sequel to it. I prefer Midnight. But I don't hate this at all. Like, this is still fairly solid, but there are certain things where I can just pick it apart. And again, like, the ending still bugs the hell out of me. I wish it had been much more vague. If it had cut like a little bit earlier, it would have been fine, because that would have just been more, you could take it that way, you could take it as Mo just being kind of on edge for obvious reasons, but holding on the other woman too long was just like, okay, yeah, this is definitely saying that the entity got out. But yeah.
All right, so that's on to me, and I would say I pretty much enjoyed that movie. I'll say I don't watch a lot of horror movies these days because I just am stressed enough that like I don't need anything that is going to raise my anxiety, even though I'm a fan of the genre in general. So in this, like, it took me a little bit to like ease into it, which a lot of that had to do with like the whole impersonating an officer thing, which the doctor does every time. So I just that's me needing to get over it. But once we got into it, I would say I enjoyed this. I like the suspense. I like the problem solving. Even though like it, I've found that I really tend to like episodes where it's not clear like what's going on or how to solve it. And this, a lot of the time, that means it's like murder mysteries.
Mhm.
But this is not a murder mystery at all. But it's a lot more in the wheelhouse of horror. And I also like I enjoyed the nods to the horror conventions as well. Um, I like certain things annoyed me, not like huge detracting things, but definitely things that kind of pissed me off in the moment. I was not especially annoyed by the fact that there was that one character that Doctor Who and just kind of fiction in general demands who was working against every common sense. Because I feel like that's one aspect of real life as well. There's always somebody working against common sense. Um, so that didn't bother me. There were a few things that annoyed me though, which I mentioned. But overall, I would say I enjoyed this episode. I will say I only watched it once because I was starting it and then I lie down for a couple hours and then I watched it and then I didn't have time for a second watch. So I don't know if I'll feel any differently after a second watch, but after one watch, I would say I found it entertaining and interesting and thought provoking. So let's move on to our ratings. Uh, Erin, what is your rating?
Okay, I'm going to scale back. Like I said, I was originally going to give this a 5.0, and I'm kind of tempering my excitement for it to a 4.5.
Okay, 4.5. Alex?
Hmm. For me, it's a matter of wondering how much it's lowered. Because, like, I'm wondering, because to me personally, it was never going to be a 5, I don't think. But it, like, maybe, like, really getting close. But there would have been just enough things that I would have knocked it down. So.
Like a 4.75 or
You
something.
did give Midnight a 5. You were the only you were a full point above anybody else as well.
Hmm. Um. You know what? I think there's just enough that bugs me that this gets knocked down to a flat 4.
Okay. You are the downer for this week because I agree with a 4.5. It does not have that special something to be a 5.0, but I would say I enjoyed it more than Lux, for example, which we all gave a 4.0.
Hmm.
So now we have two 4.5s and a 4.0. The average is 4.33. So if I look at our rankings, out of 484 things, I think I need to update this um, and add in our newest season to it. But that places it between 116 and 124. It is on par with The Three Doctors, Nightmare in Silver, The Ice Warriors, and The Web of Fear. It is better than The Dalek Invasion of Earth, The Battle of Ranskor Avkolos, Spearhead from Space, The Witchfinders, Waters of Mars, The Ark in Space, Demons of the Punjab, The Keys of Marinus, and Galaxy 4. And it is not as good as Dot and Bubble, The Power of the Doctor, Revolution of the Daleks, Snake Dance, The Dominators, The War Games, Terror of the Zygons, The Centauran Stratagem of the Poison Sky, and The Husbands of River Song. So at that point, please let us know in the comments what you thought of this week's episode if you've watched it. Don't forget to like the video if you've listened this far and subscribe on YouTube or follow us on Twitch. And let's wrap up with our predictions. And of course, we haven't talked about Mrs. Flood, so we have anything to say about her, that can go into our predictions. So we'll start with Erin.
All right. So I predict that this upcoming is this for the overall series or is it for just for next episode?
Both.
All right, next episode I predicted that Ruby is going to get herself hooked up to an alien boyfriend who is drawing her in via pheromones. It could be that the dude actually existed because you notice that there's like slime dripping on him and stuff at one point in the trailer. But I'm not quite sure. For Mrs. Flood, for one thing, I definitely am very suspicious that the rumor I read that she's the Rani is true. I'm suspicious of that being actually the case because she is very much going through technological stuff in this. She's admiring the Vindicator. She's like, a real Vindicator, thank you, and everything. Like, she had a whole picture of it and everything. So, I really kind of wonder if she is the Ronnie brought back. They say that because it rains around her. Her name is Mrs. Flood. The other, the anagram for rain is Ronnie. So that's the whole thing. And then for the series, I'm not quite sure where it's going to go, except for more Chaos Gods, I assume. That's it for me.
All right, Matt. What? Wow, not Matt. Alex, what are your predictions?
um. Yeah, for next episode, all I've really got is just also assuming the boyfriend is probably going to turn out to be an alien of some kind. I don't necessarily think he's going to be like uh necessarily in league with whatever sort of xenomorph that's following them around or whatever the hell it is. But just like randomly turn out to be an alien or something. The funny thing is the more of these that happen, like, 'cause it's kind of weird because it's like last episode, Mrs. Flood was very, limited run. It ends on this date, and kind of being happy about that. But at the same time, in this episode, yes, he's got one of these. Good, that's good to know. Feels a bit more like, okay, good, he's figuring it out. Kind of a tone to it, at least again to me. So I can't quite grasp if it's really just a matter of she's going to be either the entity that's actually causing all this grief, or if she's just kind of a sideline character who's, like, I think Bill floated the idea she's probably the harbinger, or at least I think I've seen someone, whether it was Bill or someone else, I've seen someone float the idea that she's more of a harbinger for another entity that hasn't shown up yet, like a herald.
Yeah, I think I said that, kind of like how Susan Twist was the harbinger for Sutek.
Yeah. And like, it still wouldn't entirely surprise me if they do something where she is either the god of like storytelling or time or something like that. But it would be weird if she was the main baddie, just because she's like, she could have been dealing with him this whole time but isn't. So it's a matter of like, is she just toying with him? Is she, it could be any number of things. But I mean, she clearly knows more than both we and the Doctor and Belinda do, but and knows that he's going to be in these places. which is where the like my initial thought either last time or the time before of like, oh, maybe it's a callback to Flux because we've already had the embodiment of time as a thing. So she could be that, but she could, with what we're doing at the moment, she could friggin' be the white or black guardian for all we know. Which, not gonna lie,
She could be Missy for all we know.
yeah. I mean, I know someone pointed out that the outfit she was wearing at the end of Joy to the World was very Romana 1-esque. Like damn near the same outfit as something that Romana the First wore, but I doubt it would be that. I kind of don't want it to be the Rani because then you'd have to explain away the fourth wall breaks. Because I don't get why the Rani would be able to do fourth wall breaks. Whereas being a godlike entity from another universe, okay, I can buy that. But yeah, that's about all I've got because it's like either my brain's just like not thinger or I'm so used to like RTD throwing curveballs at this point and trolling that I'm like, this could be anything. Especially with the whole misdirect of like him basically doing the companion is really important thing with Ruby and then it being like a psych, not really thing at the end. Like last time. It's like, yeah, I don't know what to think necessarily.
Let's see. I'm going to say my predictions are one that the way the episode is directed, I think it suggests to me that there is going to be callbacks to 73 yards in it. I think this is going to kind of be like mainly a sort of prequel to Ruby being affiliated with Unit and the season finale. And I think I'm going to make the prediction that the reason they don't stay in this episode's time frame is because Belinda doesn't want to wait and wants to keep trying to get there faster instead of waiting for however many months.
Yeah, like again, it's not like the doctor's ever been like, oh, just a quick jump over to a different location in the same time period and then they get flung God knows where.
Right. Or I could also even see them being like, you know what? We've made it to April 2025. We can definitely make it to May with our next jump. And then they end up flung off into, let's see, it would be, I don't know when the story in the engine is meant to be set, but I think it's in the past.
Probably.
All right, next time we continue with Lucky Day, written by Pete McTighe and starring Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor and Virata Sethu as Belinda Chandra. We'll see you then. Oh no, I clicked the wrong button. Where's my to get to my TARDIS sound?